Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be going over the Devblogs for the winter marathon vehicles, and I'm going to do them slightly differently this time. We're going to do the aviation ones in one video, then the ground ones in another, and then also the naval ones in another. So we're just kind of putting them together just to make it a little bit easier for myself, since I have a lot of videos to make over this weekend. Also, just to let you know, TechWS is now full after a day, so it looks like many of you wanted to go into it, which is really cool. And I will say, if you are still interested in being in a tech squadron, we do have another one, which is Tech FS. So TECFS. Look for it in the game, and if you want into it, just apply to it, and as long as it isn't full, we'll make sure that you can get your squadron points and also get your activity, and then also do some other stuff when it comes to the game, maybe even if you want to do squadron battles and things like that. But yeah, make sure to check that out, and once again, thank you for many of you supporting me when it comes to the affiliate stuff with Gaijin. It's been very kind of you guys, and hopefully with the Christmas stuff coming up, we'll have a look and see what sales are on during that. Now, let's get into the aviation vehicles, with the first one being the C202D. So the C202D is going to be the first prize for the pilot stars for the event. There's 5 stars overall that you need for the C202D, so it shouldn't be too hard to get. And also, at the same time, it's a premium and it's going to be ranked 2. Remember, all of these vehicles, if they keep the same rules that they've done for this operation, where if you got vehicles in previous events, you'll be able to actually use them in the operation, then this will be useful going forward for them, not just as a vehicle to research through Italy in the rank 3, 2, and 1 area as a premium. The C202D is very similar to the standard C202 that we see in the tech tree. The only main difference of it is that it was an experimental prototype which was made off the 3rd production series of the C202. The main thing they changed was a radiator was located externally under the nose, so very similar to the P40, which we already have in game. The development of the aircraft was carried out in 1941, and the prototype itself was built in 1942, and it was given the designation C202D. Now, the idea of having the radiator under the engine is that it would make engine cooling more efficient, and also installation of the radiators easier. The forward displacement also of the cooler would make it possible to place a suspension point for a bomb or a fuel tank behind it, which would be quite fun. But the problem that they found was, because they slapped a massive radiator on the front of it, it made the machine not as aerodynamic. Funny enough how that works. And the flight test they had showed that it massively increased drag on the C202D, which made the speed of the vehicle a lot slower, and therefore they decided to just not do that and carry on with the standard C202s. So this thing will have the same armament as the standard C202, so the two machine guns and also the rifle caliber machine guns, the 12.7s, and I believe it's the 7.6s. The Breda Safats, the 12.7s, are not bad guns. I know they get a lot of flack because they've had a lot of changes over the years, and sometimes it does feel like you are hoping for a fire, is probably the best way of putting it. So what I mean by this is if you can keep plinking and plonking on an enemy, and at lower tiers, you know, they don't have a ton of armor when it comes to the vehicles, so you're kind of hoping to hit the engine and just make it go pop. And the Breda Safats generally are not too bad at doing that. They have worked out pretty well in the past to be able to do that stuff. So hopefully with this new machine, it'll be able to do that. The C202 itself is a fantastic learner aircraft. And what I mean by this is there are a few aircraft in game where if you want to learn how to fly props in a realistic, they're definitely worth having a look at. And they're normally ones which don't have the best armament, but they have decent maneuverability or can do everything pretty well. So you learn how to play off your enemies and you learn how to, use them in general. The C202 is one of these, and also the BF-109E1 is also one of these. And it just means that if you go into an engagement with them, it isn't about what your vehicle can do, it's what the enemy vehicle can't do. And that's because the C202s in general are pretty good at most things, unless they become a little bit too heavy, like the ones with the 20mm, then it becomes a slightly different story. But it's all about, what your enemy is weakest at, and then you can attack it. That's why it's a really good trainer aircraft for people, because it's about understanding, what you can do in terms of, fighting your enemy. So hopefully a lot of people pick this up. I know a lot of people are going to be going for the top tier prize, but the C202D looks pretty solid as a second one. And once again, it's a little bit of love for a minor nation, so for me, that's always a plus. The big vehicle reward for the pilots in this event is the MiG-23MF for Germany. This you can get with getting 10 pilot stars, and it's also a coupon, so if you're not interested in it, you can actually sell it on. So that's definitely something you can do. And also, at the same time, with this MiG-23, it was said by Esmond 1080p in, of course, the comments, just for additional clarification, much like the F4F, a later modification of the MiG-23 will be added to the German tree in a future update. So there you go, probably in the February updates. That's what happened with the F4, so that's something to have a look for. The MiG-23MF is very similar to the MiG-23M. Basically, the MiG-23M that we already have in game, by the way, in the Soviet tech tree, the MF variant is the export variant of the M, which was for Warsaw Pact countries. It was necessary to change the onboard electronic equipment to cheaper and simplified systems, but the new fighter, which was the MF, was created by the Mikoyan Design Bureau. The first country to operate the fighter was the German Democratic Republic, and then the MF was also supplied to other countries as well as the Arab states of the Middle East and also Africa, India, and Cuba. This thing was used all over the place, which is pretty cool in itself. It is a rank 7 vehicle, and it is only an event vehicle, so it's not a premium. So you're going to have to, you're going to have to properly modify it. You won't be able to get it, modified by itself. And I think it's safe to say I disagree with this decision as an event vehicle. I don't think these high BR vehicles or high-ranking event vehicles are a good idea. They screw up the matchmaking, they leave very odd holes in everything. If you want examples, you can have a look at squadron vehicles like the Leopard 2PL, you can have a look at the Tiger, which came in, you can have a look at the F4F early in itself, they were looking to drop even further in BR. And then just basically all of those other vehicles, the F5A as well, being up there. Generally, these vehicles just shouldn't be added as event vehicles. I don't know how else to put it. They should be a rank 2 event vehicle, or a rank 3 event vehicle, and then a rank 5 event vehicle. That's how I would personally do it. So, when it comes to this MiG-23, if you haven't played it in the Soviet tech tree, what you've got to understand is when the MiG-23M came in, it came with a fizzle and a bang and then a die. Generally, the M was not really received very well when it comes to its addition to the game, because it had general issues with its flight characteristics, meaning that it didn't turn very well. Its countermeasures are very, very limited on the machine, so that is definitely a problem. But but it does go fast, and it does have some quite nice missiles on it. You know, it's going to have access to R60MKs, which are the all-aspect R60s, which are going to be really good to use. It does have the R3Ss and R13M1s, and also semi-active radar ones, as well as the R23Ts with the thermal seeker. So there's a bunch of, you know, things this thing can get. Also the S-24 rockets, the KH-23M guided missiles. So it has all of the weapon suite of the MiG-23M. But as I said, one of the problems that the MiG-23M had in the Soviet tech tree was that it came in and it was kind of like a bus in a turn fighting meta. With the F-5E being released, the MiG-21 BIS being released, all of these vehicles were able to outshine it, and that's why it never really went up in repair cost, even though it was a new vehicle, and why when the MLD came in, everybody completely forgot about the M. The MLD is really good because of the missiles it has, and also it fixed a lot of the issues that the M had when it came to its maneuverability and also its general acceleration. So seeing this thing in game is really cool, but at the same time, it really shouldn't be an event vehicle, and it's just going to lead to a bunch of more conversations about how, you know, top tier is busted, and how when BR changes come in, people are going to lose their minds. It's just every time, like it's like a circle. I feel like I'm going around in a circle over and over and over again. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, BRFC 15, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe A, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, and then Kyle Kin, Bareen, Lafouche, and also Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.